All right, we're rolling. Here we go. Loosening up. Cue the horns.
Hi, I'm Cirillo. Welcome to the Robotube Games Bit Museum. And today we're standing here in the offices of Robotube Games. On the Bit Museum, what we want to do is show off some of the stuff that we've got here in the office. And this place is like a veritable museum. And we've been collecting odd, obscure, retro gaming stuff for a long time. And we've got some of the more interesting pieces here on display for you to take a look at. We're going to start off the Bit Museum by talking about Nintendo. Most people today are familiar with the Wii and the Nintendo DS. Some of the more seasoned gamers might know the N64, the SNES, and maybe even the NES. Back in 1977, Nintendo released its first console called Color TV Game 6, which was actually a Pong console. It played 6 variations of Pong, and the knobs were built right into the console. A year after that, they released Color TV Game 15, which, as you can guess, is 15 variations of Pong. But the only interesting thing about that was that the controllers were removable and were on cords. So Nintendo's been making video game consoles long before the venerable Famicom, which we have here, was ever even a twinkle in Miyamoto's eye. And this is really what put Nintendo on the map in terms of home video games. But Nintendo was doing stuff long before the Famicom ever saw the light of day. And we just so happen to have some of these here with us today in the Bit Museum. This is called Color TV Game Racing 112. Now, the cool thing about this is if you thought this was Nintendo's first foray into the world of plastic steering wheels, no. This right here was actually the first plastic steering wheel Nintendo ever made. Also in the back, you have these crazy paddles that come out, and you can actually do 2-player games. If you can actually find another person as interested as you are in this thing. So you may never actually use the other controller. All right, so let's power this puppy up. Check it out. You're looking at some real, honest-to-God, early 1970s Nintendo graphics. So, I mean, check this out. This is awesome. Look at this. Look at how responsive this steering wheel is. Who needs Mario Kart? It's totally unnecessary. This is awesome. This is basically the grandfather to the Wii. So there's all kinds of switches and controls on the console itself. So you've got the switch that makes the cars zigzag back and forth. There's a guardrail option, which makes the guardrail something that'll smash up your car. There's number of enemy cars, all kinds of stuff that you can actually change and switch right on the console itself. This is pre-menus, of course, so all the switches are right here on the box. There's also this little shift, a gear shift on the side, which unfortunately we've lost the handle to over the years, but this is actually a gear shift for 1 and 2, whatever that means. So let's start this thing up. Excuse me. Okay, it sounds like a fart. I just gotta say it. Yeah, I'm feeling good now.
Well, you're hammered, so it's good. No.
Yeah.
All right.
So, okay, it's a driving game. Kind of sounds like a fart, which is ironic because Japanese people are very clean people. And now we're gonna speed it up, and now we'll speed up. Now we're driving, now we're talking some serious, and I got smashed up. That's hard. I hit the guardrail. Okay, so now we go to like a full screen here. Now I can move all over. A little bit easier. Maybe that's too easy. Now it's hard as hell. Let's make the zigzag option. Now it's impossible. The Nintendo logo, which appears on the bottom of the console, is actually in Japanese. They were not yet using their English logo. I found this one in the back of a junk shop in rural Japan. And I was just sitting there, and I couldn't resist but snatch it up. I stole it. Nintendo was actually founded in 1889, and the company was founded to basically produce playing cards. Some of the people who are a little bit more up on their Nintendo history might know that Nintendo started off by making Hanafuda cards, which is a pretty well-known traditional Japanese game of cards. But this is actually a original Nintendo product, and it's called Karuta, which is a little bit different than Hanafuda, and these are a little bit harder to find, a little bit rarer. I really have no idea how to play this game, and I won't even pretend like I do. I can barely read some of this stuff, but this is essentially how Nintendo got its start in gaming, was through these paper playing cards. Now we're going to take a look at one more console from Nintendo from the late 70s, and this one right here is the creme de la creme. This is the Coupe de Ville. This one right here is called Block Kuzushi, and in Japanese that means block knockdown. So this console right here is really significant in Nintendo history for a couple of reasons. Number one is that this is the first console Nintendo ever released that has the word Nintendo right here on the front using their English logo. That's pretty cool. The other thing that's awesome about this is that Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who invented Mario and Donkey Kong and all those other guys, actually created the casing for this. Didn't create the game itself, but his job was to create the way this physically actually looked. This is one of his first projects ever at Nintendo back in the late 70s. Initially sold about 400,000 units across Japan, which was considered to be a pretty good success for Nintendo at the time.
We gonna play it?
Yeah.
Let's play it.
Okay. And here it is. And this is basically, as you can see, your typical Breakout clone. Of course, you know, Breakout was an Atari game, so Nintendo didn't exactly invent this concept, but hit the reset button and hit the serve, and here it comes. And it's got this sweet analog dial on here. That thing, I mean, this is one of the nicest analog controllers I've ever used on like any game ever. And after all these years, this thing is just beautiful. The responsiveness of this controller is just amazing. And it plays a pretty kick-ass version of Breakout. I mean, this is an arcade accurate version of Breakout that you can play in your own home right on your own TV. The cool thing about this console is that you can actually change the settings on it. So you can play different variations clicking this dial around, and you can actually change the brick configurations on screen. And this one's a little bit buggy, guys, because it's old. And you can actually have bricks on the bottom that like save you, which is kind of neat. So I mean, there's some, even back then Nintendo was taking a basic concept that was tried and true and adding stuff to it, which was pretty awesome. And they have this crazy mode right here. As soon as you knock out all these flashing red bricks at the top, the whole set starts to come down from the top of the screen like this. And it's like the game's over. I don't even understand. That, in a nutshell, is some Nintendo history on some really early consoles that you probably never played and you're probably never going to own. Because they're really rare, they're really hard to find, and I have them. So this just sold on eBay recently, as a matter of fact. It sold on eBay recently for like $500 in brand new mint condition. This one looks like ass, to tell you the truth, because there's all kind of burn marks and everything in there, because like in Japanese houses they have like space heaters, and someone probably left this too close to a space heater and it kind of melted some of the plastic at the bottom. But all in all, it looks pretty good. The little price tag is still on here. I found this again at the back of a junk shop. The name of the shop is Hard Off, and right here it says 3,150 yen. That's what I paid for this machine, which is, it's like the equivalent of about 800,000 American dollars. That's it.